For this topic, the physical asset system. Overview of fixed asset procedures is fixed assets are essential for organizations and require systematic management throughout their life cycle. So in these procedures, it refers the systematic processes and protocols that put in place by organizations to effectively manage their fixed assets throughout their life cycle. And these fixed assets such as building, equipment, and machinery that are operational businesses and require careful monitoring and maintenance to ensure their optimal use and also the longevity or the long duration of individual life. For example of these fixed assets are the asset acquisition, asset identification and tagging, asset recording, depreciation calculation, maintenance and repair, and also the disposal of and decommission. If this implemented properly, the fixed asset procedures, organizations can effectively manage their assets, optimize resource utilization, minimize risk, and also maintain their compliance with regulatory requirements. In physical fixed asset system, this system refers the method was disused by the organizations for tracking and managing its tangible assets such as building, machinery, and equipment, etc. But initially, many organizations or businesses relied on manual procedures for fixed asset management because this involves the handwritten records, spreadsheets, and physical documentation, or ito yung mga old ways na ginagawa nila before. Ngayon na until now, ginagawa pa din. But however, manual procedures previously, fixed asset management was manual leading to inefficiencies. Why? It always often to lead to inefficiencies such as errors and difficulties in maintaining accurate and also up-to-date asset information. If the organization always rely on manual procedure, the asset information is always prone to errors, and especially duplication and also inconsistency due to manual data entry and retrieval process. But the benefits of these manual procedures, the organizations maintain the fixed asset records using the handwritten ledgers and spreadsheets. While transition naman by utilize computer-based system for better accuracy and control, like yung pinagawa sa atin before na manual procedure to computer-based system. By recognizing the transition and limitations of manual procedures, the organizations decide to transition to a computer-based fixed asset management. They can evaluate different software and also options based on their requirements, budgets, and stability. If this organization implement and selects the computer-based fixed asset management software as a solution, with the new system in place, the organizations or the business can experience improved accuracy, efficiency, and control over its fixed assets. And also, asset tracking becomes more streamlined, depreciation calculations are automated, and also reporting capabilities are enhanced. So, in overall, the transition to a computer-based system results in a better asset management practices and also optimized resource utilization. So, in figure 6-13, the computer-based fixed asset system. So, it will illustrate the flow of management of fixed assets within the organization. First one is the asset acquisition procedures. In this part of diagram, we'll show the steps involved in acquiring fixed assets from the initial request to the approval process and the actual purchase. And the next is the maintenance procedures. This section will detail the processes of maintaining the fixed assets, including scheduling, regular maintenance, and also recording depreciation and managing repairs. And the next is the disposal procedure. This final part will depict the steps of disposing of fixed assets, which include the decision to sell, decommission, or recycle, along with the necessary approvals and documents. As I've said before, computer-based fixed system offers advantages such as a real-time processing, automation of depreciation calculation, and streamlined record keeping, enhancing efficiency and also control in fixed asset management. In this visual presentation of these flowchart symbols that represents the different entities and actions such as rectangles for processes and also the arrows to indicate the flow of information or actions. This serves as a provide a clear and structured overview of how fixed assets are managed throughout their life cycle within a computerized system. And the next is the acquisition procedure. The acquisition process begins with a fixed asset accounting clerk receiving a report and a cash disbursement vouchers. And this document confirms the physical receipt of the asset and its cost, from clerk recreation to general updates. For example, the acquisition process begins with the fixed asset accounting clerk receiving two key documents, the receiving report and the cash disbursement. Once the fixed asset accounting clerk receives these documents and initiate the acquisition procedures, it involves the record creation that creates a new record in the fixed organization of the fixed asset register or the accounting system to document the acquisitions. And this includes the records of the description of the asset, acquisition date, cost, and the supplier or the vendor information, and any relevant purchase orders or invoice. And the next is the general updates. The clerk updates the organization's financial records to reflect the acquisitions and also include the updating of the general ledger accounts related to fixed assets, accounts payable, to record the liability for payment, and any other relevant accounts. We can say na, for example, in a medical hospital, they purchase a equipment for blood storage. So upon receiving the report and the cash disbursement voucher from the purchasing department, the fixed asset accounting clerk creates a new entry in the fixed asset register. Ayun. So this entry includes all the details, the description, the serial number, acquisition date, purchase cost, supplier, vendor information, and any associated purchase order. And the next is the updates on the general ledger. Once update, the acquisition process is completed. And also the asset record is accurately created and the financial records are updated to ensure that yung acquisition is properly documented and also accounted for the organization's financial statements. So, in the next figure in 6-14, the general concept of fixed asset record structure in a computer-based fixed asset system. So, dito, it illustrates here the components, such as asset identification. It includes the asset number or the item number or the barcode. Next is the asset classification, such as type, categorized by type, such as buildings, machinery, vehicles, etc. or whatsoever. And the next is the cost and valuation. Ito yung initial cost of the subsequent revaluation, and also the accumulated depreciation will be also recorded. And also the depreciation details that shows the method of depreciation rate and who is responsible for it also will be included. And the financial information, this might include also the details of the net book value or the book value and any impairment losses, and also the transaction history or the log of all transactions related to these assets, including acquisition, improvements, and disposal. And the last is the asset status. In the next figure, the figure 6-15, the asset status report, there you can see the current status such as in use, under maintenance, or disposed of will be also tracked. And the date of acquire, the lifespan, and also the residual and the accumulated depreciation. So makikita nyo lahat dyan sa figure 6-15. And And also, this visual presentation would likely use tables, charts, or diagrams to organize this information in a clear and accessible manner, providing a comprehensive view of the fixed asset. So it also serves as a crucial tool for managing the life cycle of asset, ensuring accurate financial report. So next is the asset maintenance. The fixed asset system utilizes the depreciation schedules to record end of period depreciation transactions automatically. Tasks include calculating current period's depreciation, updating subsidiary records, posting depreciations to general ledger accounts, and also preparing journal vouchers. A fixed asset also depreciation report is generated for review by the fixed asset department. So specifically, this asset maintenance involves managing depreciation, which is the systematic allocation of the cost and also over its useful life. And these transactions include such as calculation or calculating the current period depreciation, example, a straight line method or declining balance depreciation. And next is the updating subsidiary records and the posting depreciation to general ledger accounts and also the preparing of journal vouchers. So in addition, the fixed asset depreciation report must be generated for review by the fixed asset department. Once this report that provides an overview of the depreciation expenses recorded for each fixed asset during the accounting period as well as the cumulative depreciation to date, reviewing this report allows the fixed asset department to verify the accuracy of depreciation calculations and ensure compliance with accounting standards and also the organizational policy or the policies. Example, if in a company at the end of each accounting period, the fixed asset system must automatically calculate the depreciation expense for all fixed assets based on their respective depreciation schedules, and the system updates the subsidiary records for each asset to reflect the depreciation expense, yung post the depreciation entries to the general ledger, and preparing the journal vouchers to document the depreciation transactions. So here in the dash figure 16, as you can see, the fixed asset depreciation report. So, makikita nyo po dyan yung calculations ng depreciation. Like the code, method, kung anong ginamit, and the description of the equipment and the depreciation expense, and then the total and the summary. The depreciation expense over the accumulated depreciation equipment. So, in the next topic is the departmental changes. Departmental changes refers the modifications or update in asset custody or yung status ng isang organizations in a department. This includes the changes in transfer of asset between department to department or changes in asset location or alterations in asset status. Example, in use yung equipment or under repair siya or dispose na ba or kailangan na siyang i-dispose. And also the proper management of departmental changes ensures the asset record remain accurate and up to date. So the department managers are responsible for reporting any changes in asset custody or status to fixed asset department, and also a clerk records these changes in the fixed asset subsidiary ledger to maintain up-to-date asset record. So, meaning that the department manager hold the responsibility for reporting in any departmental changes in asset custody or status of the fixed asset department. And also the clerk must record these changes. Once the departmental changes are reported, the clerk within the fixed asset department records these changes in the fixed asset subsidiary ledger. The fixed asset subsidiary ledger contains the detailed information about each individual asset, including the description, location, custody or custodian, acquisition details, and the current status. Example, in a scenario, the manufacturing company where a production department decides to transfer a piece of equipment to the maintenance department for repairs. So, the production department managers informs the fixed asset department about this transfer. So, once na-inform niya na ito, and also providing the details such as the description of the equipment, serial number, and ano bang reason kung bakit siya ita-transfer. So, upon receiving this information, the clerk within the fixed asset department should update the fixed asset subsidiary ledger to reflect the transfer of the equipment from the production department to the maintenance department. Once it was recorded, and also the changes in custody, the status, yan, kung saan na ba talaga siya, or kay saan siya na-transfer, and also indicating the equipment is now under the responsibility of the maintenance department. Ibig sabihin, sa kanila nila yung responsibility na yun kasi na-transfer na sa kanila. But, and is temporarily out of use for repairs. Kumbaga, repairs lang ang gagawin sa kanya. So, if the department decides to dispose of an asset, or if there are any other changes in asset custody or status, kunwari, hindi na siya ma-repair, kailangan na siya i-dispose, the department manager of that maintenance is kailangan niyang i-report yung changes sa fixed asset department. And then, the clerk also na naman, on the fixed asset department, updates na naman the fixed asset subsidiary, which kailangan na siyang i-dispose or maintain accurate and up-to-date asset records. So, by ensuring this reporting, the recording of departmental changes, organizations can effectively manage their fixed assets and maintain transparency and accountability in asset management process. So, in disposal procedure, ayun na yun. Parang yun na, yung madidispose na yung machine or yung equipment. So, in disposal procedures, are initiated with a disposal report authorizing the removal of disposed assets from the ledger. The system automatically posts adjusting entries to the fixed asset control account, records any gains or losses, and prepares journal vouchers. A fixed asset status report containing disposal details is sent for reviewing by the fixed asset department. So dito, the process followed by organizations is to dispose or remove the fixed asset that are no longer needed or hindi na siya useful. So once this procedure is ensured that disposals are properly authorized, documented, and accounted for, and the organization financial records, for example, the disposal process is initiated with a disposal report, and then na-authorize na siya for removal. So, i-dispose na nila yun tatanggalin na nila yun from the ledger. And then, this report typically includes the details such as description of the disposed asset, disposal date, kailan ba siya i-dispose, or method, or anong gagawin sa kanya. For example, ibebenta ba, scrap, or sisirain, ganyan. And any associated if may gains or loss. So, once na-dispose na yung report, or the disposal report is received by the disposal procedure, so this includes the fixed asset status report containing the disposal details is sent for review by the fixed asset department. And then, overall of this disposal asset, including the description, the date, the method, and also the gains and losses, yun. The department of the fixed asset is to verify that disposal had been properly documented and also accounted for in the organization's record. And next is the controlling the fixed assets. Similar. Why it is similar to expenditure cycle? Many controls overlap with general expenditure. Controlling the fixed asset system, because this involves the implementing measures to ensure the accuracy, reliability, and the security of fixed asset transactions and informations. And also, these controls are crucial for preventing errors, fraud, and misappropriation of assets. Why is that similar to expenditure? Because this involves the process of purchasing goods and services, controlling the fixed asset system that requires similar controls to safeguard assets and ensure accountability. Some of these key controls that overlap with the general expenditures are the authorization controls that ensures that all transactions are established according to the policy and procedures, and also prevents the unauthorized transaction and ensures accountability. Next is the segregation of duties, separating duties among different individuals to prevent any single person from having control of all aspects of fixed asset transactions. Example, if the person is responsible for initiating asset acquisition, should be different from the person responsible for the recording assets. And also the approving payments related to fixed assets. And next is the physical control, implementing physical safeguards to protect fixed assets from theft, damage, or misuse. This may include the measures such as securing the asset in locked facilities or installing security cameras, and conducting regular physical inventories, or also inspections, mga ganun. And also the condition of the assets. And the last is the documentation and record keeping, which maintain the complete and accurate documentation and records for all fixed asset transactions. This includes the purchase order, invoice, receiving reports, disposal reports, and asset registers. Proper documentation provides a paper trail for auditing and ensure transparency and accountability. For example, in COA, after na mag-purchase ng ibang department, kailangan dumaan muna sila sa sa head nila, and then after nun, yung head nila is pupunta sa COA, and then sila yung makikipag-usap na ganito ganyan. And then si auditor is i-implement niya yung security or the safeguard to protect the fixed asset from the thief. Kasi mostly may mga nangyayari kasing hindi maganda. Basta yun na yun. Confidentiality. So, this involved the comparing of the review and reconciliation of the fixed asset, register the physical asset counts, reconciling the depreciation expense with the accumulated depreciation recorded in the accounting records, and reviewing any variances or the discrepancy for the investigation. Kasi, once na yung machine is, nag-purchase sila, tapos, kailangan, yung pala, meron pa palang machine, tapos hindi pa pala siya delivered, tapos, sinubmit na, na siya. Parang, ang kakalabasan nun is, hindi siya, basta may anomalies na mangyayari. Kaya, may similarity siya kay expenditure cycle because of the steps that yung same sila by the overlap controls of the general expenditure. So, sa internal control, if this internal control implements the monitor or enforce compliance, ayun na, yung lagi nilang binomonitor, or bakit yung machine wala dito. So, chinecheck nila lagi yun. So, always in-inspection nila, and then, nagtatanong sila bakit ito wala dito, sinong gumagamit, ganyan, parang ganun. Kasi, for example lang, may, na-encounter ko lang kasi dun sa OJT ko na, may van na hindi siya registered doon sa isang company na yon. Pero, nakalagay doon sa report na ang may-ari is the company. Pero doon sa vehicle is ibang taong nakalagay. So, andun yung van na yun is hindi siya ginagamit ng company. Ginagamit siya for in-use nung tao na yun. So, ngayon, for inspection and also investigation siya. ayun nga, yung also it involves the multiple steps including the authorization of the purchase, yung receipt ng machinery. Yun, pinapasa nila yun sa department, and then after once na-receive siya, i-check ulit siya. And then these controls such as requiring purchase orders and approval for the acquisitions and segregating duties among the employees are responsible for different aspects. And the acquisition process, conducting physical inspections of receiving machinery, sabi ko, to verify if tama ba or tama ba yung details, ganyan. So this, it helps to ensure the accuracy and the integrity of the fixed asset transactions. These controls are similar to those implemented in the general expenditure cycle to safeguard company resources and prevent fraud. Kumbaga, yung mga property ng company is masisecured siya at hindi siya makukuha or mananakaw. I mean yun. So next is the authorization controls. Dito na ipapasok to, yung formal and explicit authorization is required for fixed asset acquisitions. Transactions should be initiated by written request with independent approval for high-value item based on cost benefits. So, dito muna, sa authorization controls, these measures the organizations to ensure that all fixed asset transactions are formally and explicit approved by their managers or carried out. So, these controls also helps prevent unauthorized transactions and also ensures the acquisitions are aligned with organizational goals and objectives. These controls involves two key components. Ito yung formal and explicit authorization. Ito yung formally authorized according to established policies and procedures that someone is appropriate authority within the organization that must explicit and approve each acquisition before it can proceed. So, it ensures the accountability and also helps to prevent the unauthorized or unnecessary acquisitions. Next, bago sila is kailangan muna nila ng written request. Ito yung second document for the approval. So, before sila mag-initiate ng they need muna na mag-written request and then kausapin yung auditor or sino man yung head, providing a formal record of the acquisition request. For high-value items naman, independent approval is required, typically based on a cost-benefit analysis. This means that acquisition exceeding a certain of value must be reviewed and also approved by individuals who are independent from the requesting department or individuals, so that it helps ensure the high-value acquisitions are justified and aligned with the organization's strategic management. For example, yung isang department is need to purchase a new equipment. So, bago mag-start muna sila sa written request, and then sasubmit nila yun sa Department of the Purchasing Department or relevant authority, and then nakasad dito na it requests the outline the need of equipment and specification or any other relevant details or reason na kung bakit kailangan yan, kailangan to, ganun. So, yun. After that, the independent approval request must be viewed or reviewed first and then i-approve na siya. If ka-approve ba. So, and then, yun. If this independent approval was granted or approved, the purchasing department can proceed with the procurement or the procuring department from the selected vendor. Parang yun sa kailangan nila ng sa medical hospital, kailangan nila ng machine for the blood storage. Yun, nag-request muna sila ng written request and then kinausap na si auditor, and then in-inspection muna nila bakit kailangan, kasi yung lumang equipment daw is ganito, ganyan. So, yun. So, the formal authorization and documentation of the acquisition ensure accountability and help prevent unauthorized or unnecessary expenditure on fixed assets. So, in supervision controls, management supervision is crucial for ensuring a physical security and proper use of fixed assets. Supervisor must enforce policies and practices to prevent theft or misappropriation, such as securing asset in designation location. This involves the oversight and management of fixed assets to ensure their physical security, proper use, and also the adherence to organizational policies and practices, because supervisors play a crucial role in enforcing these controls to prevent theft, misappropriation, and also unauthorized access to assets. Example of supervision controls like asset security measures, dito yung mga security measures na placed in a protect fixed assets from theft, vandalism, unauthorized access. Like, example, installing security cameras, ganyan, alarm system, and access to restrict entry or designated asset location. Next is the asset inventory management. Ito yung physical inventory na bine-verify niya the existence of that physical asset and also the condition of that asset, to ensure that the inventory counts are accurately performed and also the discrepancy are promptly investigated and resolved. And the next is the asset custody policy. So, in this supervision naman, ito yung ini-enforce yung policies and procedures of governing the custody and use of fixed assets, to establish clear guidelines and assigning the custodianship, responsibilities, and also the documenting assets of transfers and maintaining accountability for the asset usage. Next is the training and awareness program. Ito yung the supervisor provide the proper training and awareness program for the employees regarding the handling or use and security of fixed assets. This includes the educating the staff for importance of asset of protection, recognizing signs of potential theft or misuse, and also reporting any suspicious activities. And the last is the regular inspections and audits. Yun yung ginagawa namin sa COA. Yung the regular inspections and also in audit. Dito, regular inspections and audits of fixed assets is to identify the vulnerabilities and also the compliance para ma-assess yun ng maayos, and then with asset management policies, and also detect yung mga irregularities or unauthorized activities or mga anomalies, mga yun. So, the ensures that authorized activities must have the corrective actions, or yung mga irregularity na yun are taken to address identified issues and also improve the asset management practices. And then, the independent verifications. Internal auditors periodically reviewed asset acquisition and approval procedures to assess their reasonableness. They verify asset location, condition, and fair value against record and review depreciation calculation for accuracy. So, this involves the verification controls focus on internal auditors' periodic review of asset acquisitions and approval procedures, as well as the verification of asset, location, condition, fair value, kung ano yung niya, depreciation niya, ganyan. And also, this helps to ensure that fixed asset management practices are effective, and also the compliance of the relevant policies and regulations. For example of this independent verification controls are the review of acquisitions and approval of procedures. Ayun. So, the internal auditors periodically review the procedures for asset acquisition and also approval to assess the reasonableness and compliance para ma-establish nila yung policies and procedures. And also, includes the examining, the documentation, such as purchase orders, invoice, ganyan, approval records, ganyan. If properly authorized ba and recorded, And then next is the verification of asset location and condition. So the internal auditor conduct physical inspection. Ayun, inspect. Yung gaya ng sabi ko before. So, kung saan yung location niya, if receive na ba siya, if tama ba, if bago, or ano, ganyan. So, it involves the comparing asset tags, identification number, yung serial number, corresponding with the entries, and also the asset register, and identify the discrepancy or inconsistency. Next is the assessment of asset fair value. If after an internal auditor review the valuation methods used to determine the fair value of the fixed assets, particularly for assets subject to impairment testing and evaluation. So, they can assess the reasonableness of the valuation assumption and also the methodology applied. So, it can ensure the compliance with accounting standards and regulatory requirements. And the last is the review of the depreciation calculations. Once it's done by the internal auditors, that includes the verifying the appropriate depreciation method and also applied consistently. So the depreciation expense is recorded correctly and also is scheduled and update regular to reflect changes in asset values and also the useful lives. So, ayan. And the last is the conclusion. Effective controls are essential for managing fixed asset, ensuring accuracy, security, and compliance. And also, the computer-based fixed asset system offer automation and real-time processing, enhancing efficiency and control in fixed asset management. In summary, the effective controls coupled with the adoption of the computerized based fixed asset play a vital role in optimizing asset management practices, improving operational efficiency, and ensuring the integrity of financial reporting. And also, it prioritize the implementation of controls at yung leveraging ng technology solutions at also the organizations can effectively manage their fixed assets and maximize their value to the business. And that's for all. Thank you very much.